Hi everyone, I'm Zach Reinhardt, here to review the new Oomori Seiko album, Tokyo Black Hole. Oomori Seiko is a kind of singer-songwriter turned pop star who premiered with a major label debut back in 2014 with her album Senno. Omori Seiko's sound is kind of that of a typical acoustic singer songwriter turned into full on pop tracks. You can tell these songs were written on an acoustic guitar just from the way they're structured and the way they sound. And then after they're written, they turn them into these big kind of full band, like maybe with some brass and some strings in the background production. Vocally, she's kind of known to be rather eccentric. She's not been afraid in the past to do kind of screams and strange noises. She kind of reminds me of Goto Mariko from the band Midori, who went solo and had some pop albums that were pretty bad. Omori Seiko kind of represents what I wish Goto Mariko had done with her solo career. I was kind of hotly anticipating this new album. I liked some of the singles that were coming out before this and didn't like some of the others, but the album finally came out. It actually came out a little while ago, but I wanted to get the Baby Metal and the Boris and Merzbow reviews out there as soon as possible. So I kind of put this guy off, but here I am, new Omori Seiko album. And I gotta say, it's a little bit of a disappointment. The first thing I kind of noticed when going through this album was the production is incredibly clean, and the instrumentals are all, for the most part, pretty boring. There's only like a few spots on the whole album where an instrumental part sticks out to me. Most of them just kind of serve as background noise to have behind Omori Seiko's vocal part. I like the song Choshin Serai Castella Standard Magic Magi Kiss, which is a hell of a title. It had a very kind of involved, intricate bass part that was like it was slapped. It was kind of funky, and it was really probably the only just instrumental part on the whole album that really stuck out to me. There's also a few parts where there's like maybe a little bit of jazz influence or something, and that's a little interesting. And there's some kind of odd electronic noises that appear sometimes, but for the most part, all the instrumental tracks are left pretty bland and uneventful. And the second thing I noticed was this album is a lot less in your face and kind of it takes less risks in general. It doesn't really have those explosive, like just really over the top, kind of eccentric pop songs that really gave a lot of character to her prior album. These songs are a lot kind of softer and sweeter generally, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I probably some of my favorite tracks are some of her softer tracks from her past stuff. So, with the production being very tame and the instrumentals being kind of bland and just meant to be background decoration, we're just kind of left with how well written are these songs, how good are the different parts of it, how are the songs structured, are there any cool melodies or rhythms to them, and we're left with Omori Seiko's vocal performance. How's that? Vocally, Omori Seiko takes less risks in general. She never really gets very loud or in your face or noisy, which is a kind of far cry from the kind of strange noises and utterings and screams that she would make in the past. She's really just kind of straight singing the whole time. And that ranges from a very climactic, high, kind of ballady vocal style, all the way to like a very breathy, very kind of soft, muted vocal style. And songwriting wise, it's okay. I'd say it's a downgrade from her older stuff, but there are still some quality tracks on here. There's some really interesting parts to just some of the songs and how the songs are structured, and there's just some quality choruses. I like the album from a songwriting standpoint, though there are definitely some tracks that disappoint me. Now, to talk about individual songs, I really like the song "Magic Mirror." It's she hits this very climactic high note going into the chorus, which like gives me chills every time, and it's just a very solid kind of semi ballady pop track that has very kind of direct, more in your face kind of vocals that are what I like about Oomori Seiko. This song kind of represents a typical good Oomori Seiko track to me. My least favorite track is probably the opener, Tokyo Black Hole. It's like 5.5 minutes, and it doesn't really do much in that amount of time. It's like probably a minute and a half to 2 minutes longer than it needs to be, and it's just really kind of bland and boring. Her vocals are real kind of muttered under her breath, and there just isn't a lot of emotion behind them. I also like the song Gekiteki Joy Before After, which is just a really kind of solid, fun, catchy pop track that makes me want to dance and sing along. This album is 13 tracks, and it's really kind of split into thirds of like a third of these tracks are really kind of bland and boring, and then a third of these tracks are really fun and really good. And a third of these tracks are like somewhere in between where they have like maybe a boring verse, but then like the chorus really picks up the song or something like that. And just overall, I'd say it's a downgrade from Omori Seiko's past stuff, but there's still a lot of good things here. There's still definitely highlights to be had, and there's quality tracks here. I'm feeling a 6.5 out of 10. I like the album, but it's really not anything new. This is no new ground for Omori Seiko, and her vocals are just not as exciting, and there's just not as many risks being taken, and the instrumentals are fairly forgettable. This album is just kind of Omori Seiko toned down, just with a little less color, which is a little disappointing. But it's an alright album. But yeah, that's me. Omori Seiko, new album, Tokyo Black Hole. It could have been better.